Hallelujah.
Want to bless God for yet another evening, and I give God praise for the opportunity to join once again this virtual platform. People of God in Czech Republic, bring greetings from my wife Oheneba. We send our love to you, Apostle and Mama Eunice. Mama Eunice, I missed you yesterday, but today I can spot you somewhere. I'll definitely find you wherever you are. Thank you very much for joining all of us tonight. I hope you were blessed in our session yesterday. Tonight we want to continue our discussion. Yesterday, by the grace of God, we looked at Genesis 2:18, which is the theme for this event. The Lord God said it is not good for man to be alone. And then I highlighted the issue of marriage and family life, that it's a big thing. It's a big thing. If you joke with it, you're joking with doctrine, joking with pillars of the faith, because Satan is looking for ways to hate Christianity. He's not getting all the roots he wants. So that's one area he wants to attack. So we've really mounted barriers there. So if you're a Christian, don't joke with the whole concept of marriage and family life. Yesterday, we began exploring things about singlehood. And that one point I remember making was that you cut your brand. I just love it. You cut your brand as a single person. You cut your brand as a single person. So it's not late, my brother. It's not late, my sister. Cut your brand, cut your reputation. Whilst you are single, let it be known that you are a prayer warrior, a worship leader, Bible study leader, a good organizer, administrator, a singer, an evangelist. Something should identify you. Your integrity, your holiness, your punctuality, your discipline, your selflessness, your humility, all those things should show at this stage. And of course, you can keep developing as you go further in your walk with the Lord. So we read 1 Corinthians chapter 7 yesterday, talked about Paul's teaching on marriage, and then later as it applies to single people. We also mentioned 1 Timothy 5, verse 2, Paul advising Timothy to relate to younger women in all purity. And then 2 Timothy 2:22, follow holiness and righteousness. And then we talked about choosing a spouse. Choosing a spouse. We mentioned yesterday that it requires your heart and your head. If you lose your head, you're going to be in trouble. If you lose your heart, you're going to be in trouble. So both must be at work. Both must be at work. You must pray and pray and pray as if everything depends on prayer. And you must think and think and think as if everything depends on your thinking. But if you leave one out, you're in big trouble. So engage, explore, investigate, consult, discuss. Don't shock people. Don't shock your parents that you found some posh girl. They don't. Sometimes guys like those things. They want to bring up some girl that nobody's seen before. They pull up some strange person. It's like, wow, look at It's fine to surprise, but make sure you got your background checks in place, because otherwise you have a shock of your life, in there. So use your head and use your heart as well. Whosoever finds a wife finds a good thing. Proverbs 18:22. And then we talked about Genesis 24, the servant of Abraham who found a wife for Isaac, and the prayer, and how Rebecca was discovered because of her brand. In fact, I didn't even finish the examples I wanted to give. All the wives of the patriarchs, you look at people like the wife of Isaac, Rebecca, the wife of Abraham, Sarah, the wife of Jacob, Rachel, Zipporah, wife of Moses. Most of them described as beautiful. And most of them, you find, they're also people who have a brand. They are shepherdesses. None of them were discovered at the well. Wells represent the ministry of the Holy Spirit. And the ladies themselves are brands. It's no wonder the Bible talks about Jesus, the church being the bride of Christ. The bride of Christ. 1 Peter 3, one of the scriptures we'll probably pick up today. 1 Peter 3, 1-7. It talks about women should be like Sarah. So there's something about all these nice girls in the Bible. All these nice girls in the Bible. They are beautiful. They have brands. They are hardworking people. They are taking care of sheep. Literally pastors. And they're also going to fetch water for their sheep. They're going to dig something of the spirit, something very powerful for their people. And whilst they are doing that, they encounter their grooms. Their grooms. Is Moses meeting Zipporah at the well, or is Jacob meeting Rachel at the well, or is Isaac Abraham 7 meeting Rebecca at the well? Very powerful. Very powerful. So honestly, you need to catch your brand at this stage. Don't miss it at all. Then we talked about developing relationships, starting from the acquaintance through friendship, the dating period, the courtship, and the marriage. We said that there's no time specific frame for each of them. It moves continuously. So one of the stages could happen very quickly, others can drag, but whatever it is, it will move from that phase to another. And you should be able to recognize the phase the relationship is at. Each of these phases have their behaviors. Yes, I didn't mention, when you get to the M phase, the final stage, what is the marriage phase? One of the behaviors there is sex. It is sex, and then raising children, exchanging of covenants, and working in some high-level responsibility. If you move the duties at that M stage into the courtship or the dating stage or the friendship or acquaintance stage, you've lost it. You've missed it completely. You've missed it, cry. It's gone. It's not done. It's not done. At acquaintance, there are things you do. At dating, there are things you do. At friendship, there are things you do. Dating, there are things you do. Courtship, there are things you do. When you get to marriage, this and that. So when you fast track marriage duties into when you are friends, you've lost it. And that's why people get broken heart, they get bitter, and not because you're doing things you should not be doing. Yes, I spoke about even exchanging monies, contracts, covenants, paying for stuff. Be very careful. The marriage is not in place. Be careful how you commit. Let the thing develop its natural cycle. And if you're doing good, do good as a Christian. Don't do it as if you're doing that because you want to marry the person. If you're not careful, if things change, you get hurt about that. So that's what we probably ended yesterday. And I said today we'll look at a few things to finish off our seminar. So today I'll pick on the process of marriage. And then when there's time, we'll look at foundations. If there's time, I'll look at conflicts. But for those who are married, maybe some of the sessions may benefit. But those who are not married, you also need to learn the process that we want to. 4 steps if you're preparing to marry. One of them is what we call the personal stage. The second one is the family. Third one is the church. And the fourth one is the state, the government, the state. So if anybody's preparing to marry, keep these things in your head. Sometimes you're not too sure. You want to marry, but what does it mean? What does the church even require? So this will probably give you an idea. Now you found somebody. How do you go about things? So let's start with the first one. The first one is the personal level. The personal thing has to do with both of you. Both of you, you and the beloved, you and the incoming spouse. All the things concerning the two of you is what I call personal, the personal stage. Now, when you go for a wedding, the priest will always ask you, the pastor will ask you, do you take this woman, do you take this man to be your lawful wedded wife? Then you say, yes, I do. Yes, I will. God be my helper. That question is checking whether the personal stage is fine. Whether that personal stage is fine. The minister, it is his last chance to check that. So after going through counseling and everything, at the altar, he's asking finally, do you? It means that it's not your uncle, it's not your auntie. And those questions are very important because sometimes relationships, as we discussed yesterday, acquaintance and all, it could be somebody who mentioned the person to you. If somebody recommend, uncle mentioned it to you, or you're studying in Czech, somebody mentioned some friend to you, bumped somebody, another university somewhere, and something started. Sometimes you find people saying things like, if it wasn't for that, my friend, if it wasn't for that, my uncle, if it wasn't for pastor, I would never have married you. He's very upset, person's angry, Hey, at the altar, they'll ask you, do you take this woman? Do you take this man? And that question is meant to address the personal issue. Is the decision your personal decision? Have you arrived at it, having thought about it, reflected on it? Marriage must be entered into solemnly, with all forethoughts, in all solemnity, and you must think through it carefully before you enter. Marriage is not a light thing. You must think through it. Relationship, friendship, you can move in and move out. But marriage is a heavyweight. So the personal level evaluates whether individuals coming into the covenant relationship have really reflected on what they're doing, So it starts off with whether you yourself, you love the person. Hey, do you love this guy? Does this guy really love you? There are times guys will work hard on a lady, but you could see the lady's not responding. And the thing is getting closer to marriage, but you could see that the lady is not responding. Sometimes they are temperamentally like some ladies are like that. They're very laid back. They don't show emotion. So even when you love them they love you to bits, but they don't show it. Some other ladies too, that one is a sign that they're not interested. They've not just got the right person coming. That's why they're enduring you. But you must check. You must check it because love is mutual. Love is mutual and it grows. You may start off not really that much of a fan of the person, but as you are together, you begin to pick up love. So the personal level is whether you actually love the person, whether you've made the decision yourself, whether you're prepared to sacrifice your life for the person. You must ask yourself those questions. The answers may not be clear day one, but if by the time you stand at the altar, these things are not certain, you are in a dangerous situation. You're in a very dangerous situation. A day before your wedding, still not sure whether this woman should be your wife or this man should be your husband. You are really in a dangerous situation. So this personal level is all the things you do. So the things we discussed yesterday about acquaintance, friendship, dating, courtship, and all that, those are the things you are doing. And you're using all the time you have, whether it's 6 months or 3 months or 1 year, to really arrive at a personal conviction that I love this lady and I want to spend my life with her. Sometimes relations can be quick. It's arranged quickly. You get to know yourself quickly. You're on some holidays. You want to quickly go and sign the deal and come back. It's fine. But whatever time it took, just be sure that the personal level is ticked. Now, I mentioned the personal level first because all the other stages do not really matter. They are not relevant if the personal level is not in place. Why do you bother church pastors? Why do you bother the congregation to come and gather on some Saturday for your wedding? Why do you want family to gather because you want to have some traditional marriage? Why do you want to go and sign some government papers? When two of you yourself know that you don't really like this thing, you don't really like it. Your heart is not in, Sometimes people who are married get into tension, issues, conflicts, and then they start speaking to friends, and then friends get divided. Friends take sides, one for the man, one for the woman, and they are confused, and sometimes they ask him, what do you think? What do you think I should do to him? People don't care. If two of you want the thing to work, everybody will rally around you. But if you see you don't want it to work, people just, decide whichever they want to decide, and then things. So don't rely on people. Sometimes I'll go and tell my parents, I'll go and tell this. No, if two of you want it to work, it works. It works. So the personal level is the two of you before, during, and after the marriage ceremony. Are you convinced? Are you prepared? Are you willing to sacrifice? Are you committed to the relationship? It's a question you must ask yourself at all times. Ask yourself. Otherwise, you become a hypocrite in a relationship. Ask yourself at all times. Are you really interested in this thing? Are you prepared to go ahead with it? So that is the first step you need to take. The decision of the choice of the spouse. Your convictions behind it. Spiritually, have you settled it? Have you evaluated the person? The person. So all the things we're talking about yesterday, body, soul, and spirit, looking at the person's temperaments, the person's nature, the person's spirituality, the person's faith, the person's lifestyle, their plans for life. And you're convinced, I'm going to marry this guy as a pilot. You spend all this time in the air, and you're okay with that. I'm going to marry this guy as a medical doctor. You've been in the hospital all the time. This guy is an aeronautical engineer. You've been in the space all the time. And you say, don't come and tell people later, my husband doesn't have time for me. He's always at space. When you're married, that's the job he does. So it's a conviction you arrive at. And then you progress. So that's the first point I want us to pick, the personal level. The second one is family. Now, the family issue is not just cultural. The family issue is biblical. Yesterday, I cited Genesis 24 with the case of Rebecca when Abraham sent a servant to look for a wife for Isaac. We know the story. When Rebecca met the servant, she brought the servant home, and then they did some activities, some ceremonies at home, exchange of gifts, and then the family even asked Rebecca, do you want to go with this man? And she says, I will go. And then Bible says early the next morning, they dispatched them. Then the family blessed her, our sister. May you become a mother of thousands. May your seed possess the gates of their enemies. Hey, what kind of blessing is this? Now that blessing makes a lot of difference. And compare somebody who is going to marry without this kind of blessing. Without this kind of blessing. So the family has a place in that. When you read Ruth, for example, you see all the things Naomi is doing and how they go to the city gates and contract these issues, they exchange slippers and things happen. And eventually, a marriage contract is covenanted, and then later Ruth has a child, it's proper. It's proper. It's proper. So you don't just, for the sake of, we're in a Western world, for the sake of we're in a modern world, elope with somebody, disappear with somebody, go on some island, go and take pictures and say, this is my babe. Two of us, we are married. While somebody knows about that, your father sees and his stomach is churning. The mother sees and she's just things are happening to her. And you think it's good for you? No, it's not. It's not. So all the time allowance we make for relationships, I was talking about all this time thing. Some of them includes engaging family. Engaging family. And the family step is interesting because whilst you have dealt with the personal thing, you think you're convinced, you must escalate the matter to family. Sometimes it's even better to engage family whilst you're making the decision so that you don't finish everything. They tell you no, they're not interested, because it does happen. And maybe your question would be, somebody will ask me at the end of this presentation, what happens if family says no? If they say no, they say no. May God help you. They say no, they say no. God help you. Options. Number one, you probably have to pray and pray till their mind changes. Number two, you may have to probably change the whole decision, reconsider the whole thing in the light of the resistance coming from family, parents, or something like that. Number three, you may probably have to find somebody who your parents respect and then get the person to lead you to make the case to them again. Number four, you may probably have to allow a lot of time to pass. A lot of time, because sometimes they are doing this for some reasons. Something's happening. That's why they're saying no. So you may probably give yourself a bit of time and defer your plans. So you wanted to marry January or February, Valentine's Day 2024, and you, as soon as you told it, that they said, look, forget it. Forget it. Why forget it? Maybe he's got funerals, maybe he's got other things pending, maybe whatever. So he's not interested, so forget, give him some time. Sometimes go and talk to him again. Or other times, get somebody he respects you and explain the matter to him, because he's not convinced with your case. It could be circumstances. Sometimes it's also the candidate you are bringing. In the case of a lady, you find your father may say that I don't like the guy. Why? I don't like his hairstyle. I don't like his hairstyle. And nice guy you love. Your father says he doesn't like the guy's hairstyle. So that's it. You can't force your old man. You can't force him. You can scream at him, but you can't force him. All you want to do is probably ignore him and go and marry. But if you do so, you're not a Christian, because you're not showing honor to your parents. And the consequences are dire. They're very dangerous. Very dangerous. So when you're in that situation, it's difficult when parents are not with you, So like I said, whilst you're even making the decision, if it's possible, just don't just develop the relationship. Make sure mom and dad are hearing, or people who have influence in your life are also getting to know that is the direction you're going. So you can hear their views as you go along. Don't do the deal with the person, close the whole thing, everything's a done deal, then come and throw it in front of parents. That, I found a girl, I found a man, I want to marry him, he's here. And the parents say, oh, really? Then they start raising issues. They realize you are really boxing. And sometimes parents will not even tell you why they are saying no. You're lucky if they tell you why they object. But sometimes they won't tell you. Some of them are deep-rooted issues. It could border from historic matters to racial issues, ethnocentric matters. You may never know, but they have a reason, and you can't take it away from them. You just can't Take it away from them. So when you're in that situation, the advice I've given is pray a lot more about the issue, spend time to pray, keep praying. Both of you pray about it and trust God to convince your parents to see what you are seeing. That option, like I said, is that you give it time so that their hearts can calm down. You can raise the matter again with them. Sometimes get somebody to go and speak into the issue. In extreme cases, you may have to kill the relationship. You may have to end it because it's not going to go anywhere. So you're going to go anywhere. The other option will be to ignore them and go ahead, and that's not something I want to recommend at all. So the family state is very key. Now when the family is on board, then you find that you would have to respect the settings within the family, the cultural settings within the family. Recently, our firstborn, our son, we got twin boys. The first of the twins got married to a white English lady in the UK. And a typical African family, we were getting ready for traditional marriage. We're getting all the things ready for traditional marriage. We're going for engagement. We're going to do that thing. We checked with our in-laws. They said they don't want anything. They don't want anything. Oh, I was ready for they said we don't want anything. So what would you say? We don't want anything. All they want is a wedding, the ceremony. I said, Jesus, So we had to make do with that arrangement and then go for the wedding ceremony. Of course, we had to find a set of gifts to present to the family from us as a gift to them, but they didn't want any ceremony. So you need to respect the culture of where you're going to marry. Don't just impose that I do things this way, my culture does it this way. No, if they don't want it, they don't want it. Respect it. And for those of us who are from Africa, some of the cultures really can be very demanding when it comes to marriage. Some places would demand whole cow. Some would demand thousands of, currency, and all the other stuff. Other places are also very flexible, very, very flexible. They'll ask you, we don't want much. We just need a token of this, a token of that to present. What I'm saying is that respect the culture. I give you an example in the Bible. 1 Samuel, I think 18, after David had killed Goliath and was working in the palace, Saul offered to give his daughter to David to marry. In fact, behind the scenes, the Bible says that Saul wanted David killed. But he said that all he wanted from David as an in-law was to get him, for the bride price, to get him 100 Philistine foreskins. If you don't know what a foreskin is, please go and Google, 100 Philistine foreskins, And to get foreskin from a person, the foreskin is a part of the human body, males who produce foreskins. You need to kill him. No human male will stand there for you to take his foreskin off. You have to kill him. So in the olden days, when he went to war and he came back, the general produced evidence to his skin of people he had killed by the number of foreskins. Sometimes they take thumbs or toes or something like pluck eyes to show to the general that I did 1,000 people, I killed so many people, that kind of stuff, And the king is asking for 100 Philistine foreskins. It means that go and look for macho Philistines of the type of Goliath, 100 of them, and kill them and bring their foreskins to me. Then I give my daughter. That was the bride price. Crazy. You know what David did? He brought the king 200. He brought the king 200. Bible says the king began to fear him. King Saul began to fear David. David had been to a seminar in Czech Republic when he had been told that if you're going to marry, respect the culture. Respect the culture. And if they ask you for one, top it with something. Just be generous to them. They said bring a crate of malt, add a bottle of water or something to it to add to the thing. Don't just do the thing exactly as it's done. They wrote one handkerchief and then they brought the same thing. No, you don't do that. Add something small. So David just decided to double, not in flamboyance, but to show his bravery. And the king feared him. Of course, if they ask you to do things which are beyond your budget, what is possible to do is to ask your fiancée, the lady, to negotiate with her family. If it's the lady's family asking for stuff from the man, you, the man, don't go and tell your in-laws that this thing you're asking me is too much. If you say that, it will be on record forever. The day you become a wealthy person, they always remind you, that broke man who came to beg for us to reduce this thing. Look at what he's saying now. So it's up to the lady herself to make the request and say, Daddy, this thing you're asking my man to supply, how do you expect him, a young man who's just started working, to provide all these things. It's me he's coming to marry. So you need evidence that he's coming to marry, but don't let him break the bank, to do that. So it's a lady who can really do the negotiation for you, and then they agree on something reasonable to present. But if you are able to do it decently and honorably, decently and honorably, and leave your mark as a young man. So that's something to look at. So the family level has to do with respecting cultures, honoring family. Don't get pregnant before you go and tell them. It's not good. It's not good. Bro, it's not good, sis. It's not good. We're Christians, so do the proper thing, tell them this is what's going to happen. Show them that kind of courtesy. In fact, in African culture, for example, if somebody's daughter gets pregnant before the marriage, they fine the man some fee. The day I heard that, I was really shocked. I said, oh, even in the secular world, they'll fine you. They'll fine. There's a very fine name they give to it. Those of you Africans know. I don't want you to mention it. It's a very fine name. And normally you find the father saying things like, my daughter was going to become a doctor. She was going to study into something, but this guy has messed his life up, and therefore going to charge you so much money. That girl was not going anywhere. But because it's happened, they say you are responsible for it. So if you're a young man, always keep your zip up. Zip up. Don't lose a zip. And the lady, please keep your things up.
Amen.
Don't lower standards, please. Even the worldly people, they know that if you do this, it's not good. How much more we Christians? It's not good. The temptation can be there, but trust God to give you good. As soon as you find somebody, keep praying that God help me till the day I stand before the altar. Help me to stand. Because it brings glory to God. God is so happy. And the temptation is real. It's really real. The person you love, you're always talking to a person on the phone, come and visit you and all that. It's there. But ask God for grace. And tell each of yourself that help me. Help me. I don't want to fall, so help me. You to help me. You to help me. Winter time is cold. Then you go and watch Netflix and the other guys in the guy's room or hostel. Then you say it's too late. I can't go back to my hostel. It's late. So let me stay. It's quite cold. I can't get Uber. Hey, what are you asking for? But be timbao. Don't do that. So please respect yourself and encourage yourselves to honor God. That is why I mentioned yesterday that you can't allow this relationship to drag. You can't let it drag, because it gets to a point, there's nothing to discuss. Okay, let's go and sit at Nando's and eat. Let's come back. Let's go and watch a movie. Let's go for musical concert. There's nothing anymore to talk about, And then the temptations start coming. The devil will say, oh, can't you do this? Can't you try? Oh, this one is normal. And as soon as you touch one, next time, if you do the same thing, it looks like, oh, it's not really. Let's do something more. And before you're aware, Satan himself will lead you to embarrassment, and then he will withdraw. And you realize that you're in big trouble. Then you start blaming church. The church people are not nice. When you got pregnant, the church were not nice to you. What do you want the church to do to you? What do you want the church to do? We don't have a manual for those things. What do you want the church to do? So please, grace and mutual commitment. Tell the lady that, sis, I need your help. Don't get me into trouble. And then you also tell her, bro, we have agreed to marry, but don't put me into trouble. Okay? Let's agree. Let's respect the boundaries. Let's do the best we can for each other. And let God be honored in our wedding. And when you attend a wedding that God is present, we're pastors, we know these things. You see God's glory in the event. You can see God is attempting to honor the couple. God is really wanting to show himself off in the meeting. And you can see, this is good. This is really good. Some to you, and then you realize that this is dry, very dry, very dry. It's just a kind of something you must just sit and finish and go away. That kind of stuff. So that's something to look at. So respect family. I think I'm still on the family issue. Respect family, follow cultures, whatever they want you to do it as best as you can. If it's difficult, let other people intervene and then make a way around it. And the family issue doesn't even end with the traditional marriage or anything they want to do. It goes on into when you're married. That relationship must be maintained. How you handle the in-laws, your father-in-law, your mother-in-law, your sister-in-law, your brother-in-law, all those people in the family, how do you handle them? How do you deal with things like funerals within the family? If you marry within the family, if there are graduation ceremonies, if there are birthdays, if there are baby dedications, you don't detach because you are married, you just go. No. The family is very powerful. So wherever you are, we're not saying that run your family affairs from your father's home or your mother's home. No, but keep the link. Keep the link. Phone calls, find out how they are doing. Once in a while, go visit. If you're not in the same country, once in a while you go, they go and find how they are doing. End of year, find something wrapped nicely. You would have done it to anybody anyway. How much more your in-laws? Wrap something nicely, put it in there. Daddy, that's it. And normally the lady would present gifts to the guy's family as if no, the lady was presenting gifts to her own family as if it is the guy who's bringing it. Daddy, so your in-law said I should bring this to you, and all that kind of stuff. And then the man also present things to his family, making it look like this, the coming from his wife. Whatever it is, do something that makes both of you honor your parents, or you gain respect in the eyes of your respective parents. So that's family. That relationship must be continued even within the marriage. The third stage is the church. The church. Now that has to do with when you've made your decision that you want to marry. Because you are Christians, you want to bring the relationship before the Lord for a blessing. And any minister who would lay hands on you or officiate a ceremony or whatever would want to do due diligence. So some of the things they would do will be to offer counseling. Then it will be the minister's duty to fix a date for the ceremony that you want to have, with the wedding ceremony. It's the minister's, it's not your duty. You don't go book a date and come and tell the pastor, because he will not be available that day. So it's his duty. So you go and negotiate with him. That we're looking at September, look into your diary. Can you find a good date for us? I remember my wife and myself share the same birthday, 26 September, and we wanted our wedding on the same day, 26 September, and I don't know whether it irritated the pastor when we mentioned it. I mean, I don't know how it worked out, but he just said the date was not available. It wasn't available. Wow. So all this plan, we thought that this date would work out for us. He said no. Then he offered 3 weeks earlier, 5th September. That one was clear in the diary. He could do that date. To be honest, I said, God, I thank you. The earlier the better. The earlier the better. So if I don't get my 26, I get 5th, I'll still take it, because at least I've saved myself 3 weeks of any possible temptation. So we took it like that. And God helped us. It was a good day. It was a very good day. But it's a pastor's decision, not yours. Don't go book a hall and force a pastor to do the wedding on a date because you've paid from some money to some businessman because of your reception. Engage. And that's why notice is important. Speak to a minister in good time and do that. Then the church level starts when you take a form from your local church. There's a marriage form we use in Church of Pentecost. If somebody wants to marry, you take it from a presiding elder, then you fill it, you hand it back to him. He would take it to a presbytery, to a marriage committee. They would invite you and a couple, or probably do a Zoom meeting with you if you're in distant places, discuss things through the form with you. It will pass on to counselors. Then your pastor would handle the final process towards the marriage. So the notice that you want to marry, the notice to the church, the information to the church that you want to marry, starts when this form is given to a church official, a presiding elder. The day he gets the form in his hand, that's when the church is aware that you want to marry. I'm saying this because sometimes you find things happen and people say things, oh, pastor is aware. Oh, presiding elder is aware. If you ask me, I don't know anything. Because I may know as a person that you're in a relation with this person. I'm aware as an individual. But that you want to marry becomes formal only when a filled form, a completed form is handed in to the local church. When the form comes, even the church has been given notice that you want to marry. In fact, our chairman, I remember one of our meetings, was saying that when people say they want to marry and they bring their form, the church should do everything they can to help expedite the process. Because our presbyteries are made up of people who are lay workers. And sometimes you may not have a full quorum to call the couple for discussion. So sometimes you find that things can drag. One day that they want to have the meeting, some elder is at work, didn't come, a deaconess didn't turn up, and then, let's do next 2 weeks. So directives have been given that when people hand in forms, whatever we can do practically to help them, we should do it. So that cannot be your excuse. And don't also bring in a form when you've planned something in just 2 weeks down the line. Nobody will do it. Nobody will do it. It's not realistic. So fill the form, complete all the details. The other person must also fill one of the forms, and then you hand it to your leaders. If you're in different places, the form can be filled electronically and sent. And the local church you are in would process the form. And then the minister who would officiate the marriage, whether it's your minister or the other person's minister, they would eventually call the shot in terms of the arrangements for the wedding. Most times it is the ladies' pastor. Most weddings, the ladies' pastor who officiates the thing. So he would have to make the arrangements for the counseling, the meetings, the discussions. Sometimes you have to meet family members to be sure that everything is on course, and all that other stuff. So all these things take time. So you need to prepare for that. So all these things are church issues. Now, so the church bit is all that they can do to help you spiritually. The information you pass to them, the meetings, the counseling, the fixing of the wedding dates, and then when the wedding date comes, the audience who come in as witnesses, and then the ministers who come in to lay hands on you. It's all church issues, very, very important. And you can't say you want your marriage to be private. And if you're a member of the church, it will be public. People will get to know. The announcement will be, the banns will be announced 3 weeks before time, and people will be asked to raise objections if they have. And if it's announced, they will call you forward, people will see you and all that. So these things are all public things. You can't really hide from it. I'm saying if you've gone through all this, when you want to divorce, nobody knows what to do with you. So that's how the church issue works. Counseling is very key. Don't be rude when you're going through counseling. We've dealt with cases where people tell you, oh, I forget, I've read this book. And they're not listening to counsel. They're not listening because they say I've read this, I've done this, I've read this. That's fine, So be very open-hearted. Sometimes people also come to counseling and you could see from their faces and their spirit that they're not there. They are not present. They feel that you said they should come, so they've come. Yeah, they'll come, they'll bring tablets and type, but they are not really there. If they are there, they are engaging. They're engaging. And normally we'll do something called post-marital counseling. So when you're married, about 3 to 6 months after the marriage, we'll ask you to come back for a discussion to see how the counseling has helped you. And sometimes we get fantastic feedback. Guys telling us how things they heard in counseling is helping them in their married life. And they didn't realize they really took things seriously. So that's what the church does, in prayer, encouragement. And for young people, I also want to say that don't be disrespectful to the leaders, the elders, deacons, and deaconesses. There are times you find that for the ladies, deaconess will be asking you, how are things going on with your wedding plans? How are things going? Some of the young ladies can be very rude. It's like, I don't want anybody to know anything about marriage. I don't want anybody to know. Everybody's a witch. I don't want them to know. Hey, you call these people witches. The prayers they're praying for you. Courtesy, respect, auntie, everything's on course by God's grace. Please continue to pray for us. So we need your prayer, auntie. We need your help, that kind of stuff. Let them feel that you really need them. You really need them. And you find that when your wedding day comes, they may not have come to decorate something, but they come with goodwill. Goodwill. They sit in the wedding with their spirit. They're supporting you. Otherwise, everybody's there like, look at her. She says, and then they watch you. And it's not good for you at all. So literally court the spirit of the leaders. Court them. Let them help you. Let them pray for you. Let them encourage you. If you have time to visit some family, ask them, auntie, there's anything you want to share? Elder, something you want to share? I know you're not counseling, the pastor is dealing with us, but there's anything you want to share with us? We're open to listen. Open up, receive things. Let them feel that you really want to listen to them. So that's about church. And obviously, if things go bad, it's a church that would also intervene. If prior to the marriage, you're not sticking to the thing they expect you to stick to, it's a church that will intervene. We don't expect you to be having sex prior to marriage. You should only do sex after you've married. So if you marry and 6 months down the line you gave birth and you are claiming that it's a premature child, the church has every right to find out. And if they feel that is not the case, is not true, they'll take disciplinary action. People say the church is intruding. We are not intruding. You have a contract with us that we should bless your marriage, but you've deceived us. So we also want to act. So it's not church being stiff or being tough. It's normal. So honor yourself and honor the church and honor Jesus. Yeah. And let God be glorified. So you are not off the hook until your baby has come. You're not off the hook, So handle the thing very well. If it's a genuine premature baby, bring all the evidence to pastor. That this one, the baby was too big. That's why they brought it out. And this is the evidence I have about that. Don't leave the pastor to judge or to think or to imagine. Because his first instinct, if it's 6 months, that this is not proper. You're doing stuff before the wedding, so he wants to act, but save yourself from those kind of things. The fourth stage is the state. The state has to do with the government. The government is by law required to register every marriage. So every person who claims that they are married, anybody who says they're married, they must have a certificate from government that they are married. And that certificate is very important. It's important for insurance, it's important for taxes, it's important for assets, it's important for many, many reasons. Proof of paternity and many, many things. So if you really say you are married, you must have a certificate from the state that you're married. Now, that certificate is obtained by going to inform the state that you intend to marry. Normally, you go to your city council or the register of marriages, wherever it is, and tell them that you want to marry. Give them notice that you want to marry. Then they would advertise on their board or the website for 28 days that you and this person want to marry. And if anybody has an objection, you should come. If nobody comes, after that time they've advertised, you can go back and get a permission from them to go and bless the marriage. Now, when that period is over, you can now do the marriage ceremony either at the registry or in church or at a special destination. Special destination. Sometimes people want to go and do weddings on a ship or on the moon, whatever it is. Yeah. But wherever you do it, you need to have a license to do it there. It's given by the city council, So thankfully, the Church of Pentecost, everywhere in the world, in many places, where if we've managed to register our church with the government or the city council, we'll have permission from the state to bless marriages. In most cases. It means that at the wedding ceremony, in addition to the Church of Pentecost certificate will give you, there'll be another certificate issued you from the state, from the government. And the pastor will issue it to you together. So there will be two certificates given to you. If the church is not registered, or the premises that the church meets in is not registered, sometimes that's the problem. The church is not registered, the premises is not registered, or the pastor officiating the marriage has not got a license from the government to do it. Then most times we would advise you that we will do the ceremony in church, but make sure you get the other government certificates from the registry. So you find that maybe a Monday after the wedding or Tuesday after the wedding, the couple will go there with a witness or two witnesses to go and sign and get a certificate from the registry that they are really married. Or sometimes they would do it just before the wedding, maybe on the Friday or so, go and get a certificate, bring a photocopy to the pastor, and then go ahead on the Saturday, get a church certificate for that. Okay. So that is where the state comes in. So whatever happens, you must have the certificates. You can get it from the city council about the time the wedding is taking place, not before, not too much, because as soon as you do it before, it gives you a sense that you've married. No, the church doesn't know that you're married. So it must be about the time the wedding is taking place. That's when you get that certificate. When you speak to your pastor, he'll guide you on that one. Or that certificate can also be obtained during the wedding ceremony in church, if on condition that the building is licensed, the church is registered in the nation, and then the minister who's officiating is also registered with the city council or the city to do so. If that is possible, then they can issue the certificate in church. In the Church of Pentecost, we do weddings only in our designated buildings. So if you want to marry within the Church of Pentecost, our directive is that your wedding, the minister is only permitted to come and bless a wedding in the COP designated building. It means that it will be either in the mission house or in a building that COP meets in there. So don't plan to do your wedding on a ship and expect the pastor to come. If you want that to happen, then go to the mission house, let the pastor pray for you, declare you man and wife, do all the official things with you, then fly him to the ship so that he goes there to see as a witness to see what you're going to do on the ship, whether you're going to have a party or ceremony or something there. But his ministerial duty must take place in a COP designated building, a chapel or a mission house. Now that clarity must be there for many of us who are planning our wedding, so that we don't compel. We've had people offering us tickets to fly us to places for their wedding. It's fine. We would love to come, but come home first. We've done it for people. Let's pray for you first, and from there, let's go have whatever you want to do elsewhere. Okay. Yeah, so that is the issue of the state. I think I've not talked about wedding planning and all that. If a question comes up, maybe I'll address it, but for now I'll move on from there. So in preparing to marry, look at yourself, look at the issues concerning family, look at the church, and look at the state. All these 4 steps are not necessarily sequential. They overlap each other. But if you say you are married, you should have ticked all the 4 boxes. That you've done them. It shouldn't be that you say you are living with somebody that's married and wife when the family doesn't know you're married, when the church is not informed, when you don't have a government certificate, or when 2 of you yourself don't even agree that you want to marry because it was forced on you. No, you must tick all the boxes that these are in place. So that's it on that. Maybe I'll just comment on foundations, pillars of marriage. Ephesians 5:21-33. And 1 Peter 3, verse 1-7. Ephesians 5:21-33, 1 Peter 3, 1-7. Both scriptures, very popular ones, talk about man love his wife, woman submits to her own husband. And 1 Peter 3 talks about women should learn to submit and should be like Sarah. Then the verse 7 of 1 Peter 3 says that the men should live with their wives in all understanding, their own wives with all understanding. Otherwise, their prayers will not be answered. So that's very key. So when people marry, if you are married now, there's certain things that keep the marriage working. One of them is love. Love. And the love here does not refer to the love that we use when we are doing certain things. It's love. It's agape, it's sacrificial love. It's death. Greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend. And that level of commitment is reserved for marriage. If you can't do it, you're going to struggle. So when you marry, it is not kissy, kissy, lovey, lovey, always. It's real sacrificial love. Yourself goes into the other. You find people having to give up jobs for the sake of the other person. People having to compromise careers for the sake of the other person. People have to give up personal freedoms for the sake of that person. It's love. And you must consider all these things when you're in marriage. And everybody gives up something. Everybody gives up. So it gets to a point you've given up that you don't even remember the list of things you've given up, because everybody's also given up something. So that's when you say you are married. You're married. And if you want to separate, it's going to be very difficult because you can't even remember whether you brought this cup or the other one brought this paper. It's everything's just yours. It's yours. So love is death, is sacrifice for each other. And if you're really going to be married, you need to think about that strongly in your married life. There's a book on the 5 love languages, a very popular book, Chapman, which talks about popular research has shown that people are very people express themselves in these love languages. One of them is physical touch. For some people, the way they show love is, or receive love, is by touch. So apart from what I've said in terms of love is sacrificial, is death, is caring for each other, you must also demonstrate it. And some do it through physical touch. Another area of love language is receiving gifts. For some people, it's gifts. They want to see something coming. That's what makes them know that they are loved or appreciated. Another one is words of affirmation. Words of affirmation, literally, well done. That's good. That's really great. You're doing so well. Really appreciate you. That kind of stuff. Thank you. That one, I think that everybody should have it though. Yeah. May the Lord have mercy. Then another one is quality time. Some people express their love language or receive love language through quality time. The ability to sit together and talk. That's the ability to sit together and eat. Ability to do things, watch a movie together, do Bible study together. It builds the love thing up. They sleep in the same bed, they sit in the same car. So that's very key. Then the 5th one is acts of service. For some people, they feel loved when you are doing things for them. Doing things for them. So if you can hang on in the kitchen and wash all the dishes, they're happy. If you can cut the lawn for them, they're happy. If you can, anything that makes them feel that you are serving, it shows that you are loving them. So you need to watch people when you're with them in relationships and look at how they express themselves and how you can also express, yourself. Sometimes people would say that this my partner doesn't really appreciate anything. And it's because you're going to buy a bouquet of some very nice bouquet, very expensive. And the thing is, Valentine's Day, you're taking it to them. And to be honest, they're not interested in the flowers. You give it to them in one right hand, it's coming off the left hand. And it's shameful, can be very disappointing, can be heartbreaking. But if you observe the person for a while, you realize that probably that's not their thing. That's not their thing. Sometimes all he needs is just hold his hands and tell him that you love him. And that's all. It's fine. It's fine. But if it works for you, it may not work for another person. So you must know yourself and know your spouse so that you can really express yourselves properly and respect each other in that area. So some of the foundations for marriage, I've mentioned love. Another area is submission. Submission is a very big thing. Very big thing for 21st century people, especially women, big thing, but it's godly, godly. And you must be confident to submit. You should not feel that you are being cheated, disrespected, downtrodden. No, you must be very confident in yourself, in God's grace, God's anointing upon your life, the beauty you have, then whatever, to submit, and Bible says that a woman should submit to her own husband. So the fact that we're saying submit doesn't mean just go about anybody. No, the one who is your husband, you must submit to, and submission is volunteering or willfully yielding yourself to the other person. It can be very painful, can be very costly, can be very difficult. But if you're a Christian, God gives grace for that. And it makes relationships work very well, And for guys, if you do get a lady who submits to you, don't treat her as a soft, dumb person. Don't treat her as a soft, dumb person. The one who's submitting to you is doing it out of respect for Jesus. The same way, if a lady gets a man who is loving her and really committing to her and respecting her and doing everything he can for her, don't treat him as a soft person. He's doing it out of reverence for Jesus, out of respect for Jesus. So submission is very, very key. Then we have communication. Communication is sharing information, making sure the other person understands what you're saying or doing. Communication, And this is because of tablets and all that. Two of you can stay in the same house and each of you will be on the phone or on tablet and not talk. You may not engage at all. So your intentions, at times people even use sticker notes, sticker pads. Where's one? And then they'll stick a note on your partner is asleep and you stick a note on his bedside that please wake up and go to work. What kind of life is this? And it's because he told you that please wake me up at 5. But because you are not talking, you stick a note on his bedside. So when he wakes up at 6, it's like, why didn't you wake up? I left a note by your bedside, that wake up. It's not good at all. It's not godly. It's not Christ-like. So communication is something we need to look at. Verbal communication, non-verbal communication. And you must study yourself very well, in that area. Then there's trust. If you want the relationship to work, you must trust each other. Trust. You know that the person will not really hurt you, will not disappoint you, When trust disappears, it's dangerous. Because then even the food you eat, you think it's been poisoned. The water you drink, you think it's been poisoned. You start hiding things. You cover stuff because you don't want the other person to know. When you get a phone call, you go under the duvet and you want to answer the call under the duvet. That kind of stuff. Trust is gone. But why would trust go? Because little things were happening and you didn't care about it. You didn't care about it. You're telling the lady that you come from work at this time and then you arrive late and then you explain that this is what happened. She believes you. Then later she discovers that what you said is not true. She will forgive you if she's a Christian. She's a Pentecost member in church. She'll forgive you, always forgive you. But the fact that she's forgiving you doesn't mean she still trusts you. So next time you raise another issue, she's hearing you well and clear. This is my husband. I love you. But trust for trust, she doesn't really believe you. You say things like, I'm going to Africa. I'm going to see my parents. In her mind, she knows you got that agenda. Because you've done certain things she doesn't trust you about. And so don't let trust disappear in the relationship. If it goes, build it up. Build it up. And open up transparency, passwords, access, codes. Open up your past, open up your present, open up even your future. Show your fears to the other person. Be vulnerable, mutually vulnerable to each other. So that that person is not shocked. He's not shocked. The guy hears some John's name in the house. He should not be scared because that John is something you've told him about. The lady hears something about some Agnes. It's not like, what is this Agnes about? You've opened up about that story. She knows it already, you know. So that's something you need to look at. Trust and transparency. And I've mentioned also another thing is respect. Respect for each other. Sometimes people marry, but they don't really respect themselves. They say words that look belittle the other person. Sometimes the words are based on tribe issues or race. Sometimes educational standing, sometimes wealth or family backgrounds. And they use words, innuendos, and you can see that they don't respect you. So you need to be very careful on that. You know, forgiveness. You need lots of it in marriage. If you're going to be married, you know, forgive each other all the time. This one's are not even married. This is biblical stuff, you know. Then understanding, and then patience. These are all things you need to keep a very good relationship. Finally, let me just mention this one, and I'll stop. With regards to managing conflicts within relationships, most people have mentioned that 3 areas that flag up most of the time in marital relationships are issues on sex, issues on finance, issues on external interference. So when you get married, these are areas you need to keep an eye on. Sexuality, you know, if it's not handled properly, you're not in agreement, you're not doing things the way God wants you to do it, you know, and it leads to resentment, bitterness, anger, frustration. It can cause a lot of commotion in the relationship. Very dedicated couples may not necessarily own up. Sometimes you find that couples are having issues. If you press them, they'll never say it. They'll just say, oh, my husband doesn't respect. My wife doesn't respect. They just brush it off like that. But it may be something deep like this. You know, so keep an eye if you're married on that area and make sure you don't let it slip into something very complex. Then also finance. Finance is how you handle your money, your budgeting, you know, spending, credit cards, you know, and all that. Don't just go sign contract and spend. When you marry, you're a couple. So people say that it's my money. Oh, fine, it's your money. But when you're going to go for a loan, that's when you realize that it's not your money. Because the bank will be asking for the other person's credit history. And soon that loan you wanted 5,000 will become 50,000. Because they need to clear that other person before they clear you as well. So it's not your money. You know, so those things are very, very important. Your finances, your planning, your commitments, investments, assets. The things you need to look at very carefully. And then budgeting. Budgeting, spending, prudence. You know, you need to look at it very, very carefully. Do you need to have a joint account or not a joint account? It's a decision you need to make if you're married. You know, what are the benefits and the demerits of it? Then the third area of conflict is external interference. Very common among couples. When they themselves are fine, but something external is making them all the time they're at war. What is external interference? It could be family members. It could be family members. It may not be them. They are fine, but a cousin, an auntie, a brother, a father-in-law, something external feeding into the family, the couple, and it's making them always agitated, and they are tearing themselves apart. But if you investigate the matter, it's actually auntie somewhere, you know, and they are buying in the issues, or they are taking matters to them, and you know, because families are always concerned. When you tell a family something, they'll come back ask, hey, how's that in-law? Is he treating you well? And it leads to all kinds of things. So that's an issue. Sometimes it's also relationships. Sometimes it's friends. You are in contact with somebody and it's leading to tensions at home. Somebody's calling, somebody's engaging, somebody's meeting you, somebody's a work colleague who's really, you know, interfering with your married life, you know, and it can be a real challenge, you know. So sometimes it's even church. Quite interesting. At times you are married, but the problem you're having is the external interference coming from church-related issues, ministry-related matters, you know. You want to go to choir practice, your husband doesn't want you to go, and it's becoming a problem, you know. And you think the husband is a demon, you know, you want to bind him, you know. He says, I'm my husband, I'm my wife. I don't have anything against it, but I think we need to spend time together. You can't go to choir practice. So yesterday we read 1 Corinthians 7. If a person is single, they are devoted to the Lord. If they are married, they are concerned about this life's affairs, how they can devote themselves to their husbands or to their wives, you know. So it's legal and legit for a spouse to pull brakes on you when you feel you're doing something you think is very good. It's also sometimes you have to negotiate. Essentially, you usually have to negotiate with him. Daddy, please bear with me. Let me get this thing through. We're at this level. I'm involved in this. Let me finish this project. Maybe one day I'll come off in a week. Do that. But don't assume that you can continue like that. Now you're married. No, you're a married person. When we're taking deaconesses in our church, we're going to ordain someone as a deacon. We check with the husband if they're married. Are you okay if you take your wife as a deaconess? Because that new role will require demands on her by the church. She'll have to go spend time for meetings, and I'm going to cook, receive guests, sit in committee things, resolving conflicts and all that, as visiting the sick. Are you okay? If the man says that's fine, we can go ahead and ordain. He says no matter how gifted the lady is, we'll stop it. We'll stop it. So these things can interfere. Then also sometimes it's hobbies. For the guys, sometimes football, old boys association, some city group, and those things disturb the relationship. Your wife needs you. You're somewhere. There are times it's politics. We've had cases like that. The guy is involved in politics, African politics, not even European politics, African politics. And every day he's in some CC something meeting, that kind of stuff. And you find the wives are being torn apart because of these things. So if you marry, look out for these things and let God guide you so that you don't create room for the enemy to undermine the relationship. Apostle, I think I'll stop here. And then as we did yesterday, if there are any questions, we can discuss it and then take it from there. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my dear brother. Okay, so now it's time for question. You can throw in question, and then our apostle will take it by his side there. So you can use the chat, you can use the icon, you can ask verbal.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
I just want to commend and be thankful and be grateful to Apostle Benjamin Debrah for yesterday and today.
Amen.
This is a packed load of information that has been given within a very restricted time frame. And for this, I want to say God richly bless you.
Amen.
And we are very grateful. Papa, thank you for this platform. We are grateful.
Thank you. Oh, that's what you wanted to say.
Yes, please.
Oh, I'm highly blessed. I received
Yeah,
it.
amen.
Amen.
That is the national deacon, the
Oh, God
national
bless you.
deacon of Czech Republic.
Bless you.
Elder Emmanuel Quentin. Yes.
Okay.
So
Bless
he really have thrown in the vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Bless you. Thank you. Okay. If there are no questions, then I want you to also share what you've learned, because it'll also be encouraging for me to get feedback from you. What have you picked? What is new for you? What have you caught in this 2 days? So if you can give feedback, just share what you also learned. It will be very encouraging for me to hear those things from you as well. You unmute yourself, tell us your name, and then start speaking, please. Scholastic.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
My name is Okreku.
Okay.
So I think that in your submission, I heard you say that in the relationship, we must be very open, even to the extent that we can share our passwords and everything. And I think that it's true. It's very important that we share. But this is my small knowledge, or this is my small adapt to what you are saying. It may be contrary to what you are saying, though. But Papa, you can always correct me if I'm misdirected. Sometimes, I mean, in relation thing, we should also know our limits, so that if as a husband or as a wife, I don't want to give you my past, it's work related. And for some of us, we do very special works that we don't have to share any other information with any other person. It's just work related. So yes, we can share our personal passwords, but I think that some technical ones, I must just be limited to ourselves. Thank you.
That's fine. I think I would endorse that. It's not contrary to what I've said. I endorse that. The transparency should border on yourselves, and obviously, if it's got to do with work, you must also be transparent with each other, because sometimes you're dealing with a stressful situation. There are times people have died, and the wives or the husband don't know, they don't have a clue what has caused it. But it's because they're dealing with something at work and nobody is owning up to. So transparency about yourself, not giving up government information or people's GDPR issues and all that other stuff. But you must be open. You have time to sit and talk. Sit and talk, just talk and share laptops and all that, and discuss things, that kind of stuff, and give background. Sometimes you can even anonymize information and brief your spouse or something going on, because otherwise your wife does not know why you are so tense. Your husband doesn't know why you're so tense. I mean, those of us who are pastors, that time we come from meetings, you are very tense, and they're asking you what happened. You say it's confidential. Hey, but chief, you are so upset, you are so angry, you are so tense. Your wife needs to know. So you may not necessarily have to say everything, but at least let them have a feel that this is what is causing the state we're in. So transparency is very, very, very key. Okay. Let me go on to the chat, because I think there are two questions already that I think I need to pick up before we miss it. Does it mean that if you get married in Czech Republic, you don't need a marriage certificate from Ghana? Thank you. Papa, please, in the marriage process, at what point do you introduce your partner to your parents? Is it at the relationship dating stage or courtship stage? Some parents can be very strict, but some people believe that the earlier I introduce, it gives you some bits of assurance. Okay. When do you introduce somebody to your parents? The question. In fact, to me, if I were your parent, I'll prefer that you discuss your intentions with me and then introduce the person when you've firmed it up. So when you are really firming your decision, I'll prefer that you're engaging in your discussions, that somebody in your life you're really talking to and all that stuff. So I have an idea. I can share my views with you, that kind of stuff. And when it's a done deal, bring the person to introduce, either you physically or if you are in a distance, do some Zoom call. Let us see who the person is, so that's very important. Whilst you are doing that, make sure the parents can also have a view. They may not be able to stop you entirely, but they can have a view. And it'll be very frustrating when, after all the work you've done, you are hearing that your parents don't like your choice. So give room for that. And I'm saying that when they say they don't like, there's a reason. So find out what it is, get people to intervene, give time, pray through that thing. Just do what you can. Don't get bitter and start binding and losing. No, just give it time. They'll come around and then you can go. In extreme case, you may have to give up the relationship and move on. Do you need a marriage certificate in Czech Republic? A marriage certificate from Ghana? These things vary. In Sweden, for example, we only recently registered the church. As an official government thing. That in itself, I don't even know what implications it has for marriages, because there are other things you need to do. That the church registered doesn't mean the building is registered. It doesn't mean the person is registered. So if I have a wedding right now, I'll go ahead and bless the wedding, give them a marriage certificate, but I'll tell them to go register at the city council, so that they are covered until I really get all the thing. We don't even have a chapel of our own. So get all these things done. So at some point in time, you may need some kind of government certificate. So where you choose to get it from, it will be entirely up to you. But that will come up when you're doing the counseling. Minister, I'll pick it up with you in the course of the counseling process. Then there's, to what extent should married couples share their past? Should there be a limit? It came up yesterday. There's no limit on sharing your past. What you said yesterday is that by the time you say I do, make sure that anything that is relevant for the other person to make up their mind whether they want to marry you, they know. Don't make them say I do, and then the flame will tell them that I've got a son somewhere. It would raise issues. Don't make them say I do, and in the night they discover that you are not a lady as you said you were. You're actually a man. You will break their hearts. They will go to court straight away. you know. So anything about past that is relevant for the relationship, let them know it before, because they need to decide. For example, if you have a health condition, you have sickle cell, you have asthma, you have, that's you. That's you. It should be known, you know. You don't just wait for the marriage to go and say, oh, all of a sudden, me, I've got this. And the person is confused. They're living with it and they're not sure, So disclose it. They will have to make that decision. They're going to be dealing with somebody who's asthmatic for the rest of their life. Do they want to? Help them. Do they want to? And if they don't want to, don't force them. God has put somebody in your path who will love you as you are, so that you don't feel like, oh, I'm asthmatic, so nobody can marry me. No, it's not true. It's not true. But if you don't disclose it and it comes up later, then the person, they may bear with you, they may forgive and move, but sometimes trust is even an issue. So what do you have to disclose? Disclose everything at the right time. Okay, let's go back to feedback and then questions in between. I think, where's Scholastica? Somebody's going to speak. And a question came through. If you're there, Scholastica, please speak first before I get Elisha and somebody to speak. Okay. Elisha, please speak.
Okay, thank you very much, Papa, for this opportunity to ask this question. I think my question will go back to yesterday when you spoke about the choice of a spouse. I think that one of the things that you pointed out was that in the process of making a choice, it actually involves your heart and also your head. But I'll pick on the head bit, which has to do with analysis and thinking and also your rationality. I believe that one of the things that we also have to look out for will be compatibility with this bit of the head aspect. Now, in terms of compatibility, at what point do you draw the line and say that we are not compatible, and so based on this particular issue that we are not compatible on, you are not going to continue further with the relationship? Is there a clear line? Yeah. Or are there some compatibility issues that you can overlook and still go ahead with the relationship? I think that is my question.
Thank you, Elisha. That's a very good question. When you're applying for a job, that I think some HR people call essentials and then the desirables, so when I'm marrying, the same thing. If you're starting a relationship, there are things that are essential. You must see them. And some things you can manage them. If you meet a guy, you are dating him, very spiritual, tongue speaking, Holy Ghost man, and he doesn't know how to use fork and knife, you have to make a judgment. You have to make a judgment. Do I really go out with this guy? No. Or do I? Fork and knife, you can train him. Just help him. You learn to use it properly with time. But you still like him, But sometimes you are dealing with somebody who's got anger tantrums. The slightest thing, he's swearing and he's removing his shirt and he wants to really fight. And you're with him and he's had a phone call and he's saying some very harsh words. You ask him who he's talking to, say, my big sister. Say, hey, tell your sister you're speaking to like that. If you're a girl, don't tell yourself, oh, it's not me, it's you. He will treat you the same way. So the lines can be clear in terms of compatibility, can be very clear, but you must make the judgment in terms of what is essential for you and what is desirable. That's why I always stress the issue of the spirituality first. Get the spirit and be sure that you're okay. If you're praying more, clarity will come, about the person. Then also look at the soul. The soul has to do with their temperaments. Yes, I didn't deal with temperaments in detail. I mentioned it in passing. The sanguine type, the choleric type, the phlegmatic type, the melancholic type. Sanguines are sociable people. We know this is very sociable, likely, what kind of stuff. They go weaknesses about consistency, they can change their mind easily and they're not stable in terms of certain things, So if you're dealing with a sanguine, that's who the sanguine is. Yet they're very likable, very nice people, Choleric, tough, hot-headed, sometimes anger tantrums, strong-willed, very difficult, but strong-willed. Yet they are very results-oriented people. If you're dealing with a choleric, you can achieve a lot of results. If they say they want to buy a property, they'll buy it. They'll work hard and get it. But sometimes you realize they're not good at human relations. So if you're dealing with a choleric, you need to mop up their weaknesses. You need to come out. So you find that if it's a man who's a choleric, normally their wife will probably be a sanguine or some other person, or a phlegmatic who's literally mopping up some of the things they do. But the two of them work together very well, you know. Then we have got these phlegmatics who are laid back, easygoing people, procrastinating, you know, and all that. They laugh about everything. They make things easy, you know, and all that other stuff. But their weakness, like they're slow, they don't achieve results quickly, they procrastinate all the time, and all that other stuff. You know, you see these things about them, you know. Doesn't mean you don't like them. That's who they are. You know, phlegmatics are people who hardly get angry. They don't get angry at all. They can contain stress. They will make mockery of every serious thing, anything, however serious, they will just laugh at it, you know, and they're cool. Something like choleric could be angry, banging the table. Phlegmatic will just make it, oh, so what? Oh, leave it. And so you need people like that around you. You know, then we have the melancholics, very quiet. They don't talk. All their issues are in their head, you know, in there. And the fact they're not talking doesn't mean they're stupid. They're very intelligent people, brilliant, but they're quiet people, you know, in there. So they're like a well. If you want to get the best out of them, you must throw the bucket deep and be patient till you get it out. Otherwise, if you want your things quick like a sanguine, you won't get that from a melancholic. They don't have time for that, you know. So no two persons are the same. There's a book by a chairman putting on that. No two persons. Try and get that book and read. You know, no two persons are the same. So look at the thing. And when it comes to temperaments, it's always best when they are different in a relationship. Yeah, and you have to decide whether you really can cope with this or not. The issue may not just be temperament. Sometimes it's really character and habits that have been acquired for years. You know, sometimes it's difficult to cope with, and you have to make a judgment whether you want to. If someone is rude, it's not temperament. Someone disrespectful is not temperament. Someone is arrogant, it's not temperament. Someone is proud, it's not temperament. You know, someone is lazy, it's not temperament. You know, it's not temperament. So you have to decide whether you can cope with that. Some people are very dirty. We live with them, they just mess things all over the place, and they don't care. You know, they've acquired it for years. You know, and you have to make a judgment whether you can cope with that. Somebody may be okay with it, but you can't cope. You have to make a decision. You know, if you meet someone who's a liar, a serial liar, you have to decide, do you really want to cope with this person? Constantly begging you. No. You know, so that decision is entirely yours to make. The lines about compatibility and whether you should pull out of the relationship. But most times it will come clear very early. But Bible says, I say Bible, people say that love is blind. Marriage will make you see. But don't wait till marriage. Whilst we're in the courtship, in the relationship period, open your eyes and see the things that are coming up.
Okay, so Papa, this is Scholastica, please.
Okay, right, you're back on. Please speak.
Okay, please, I want to find out whether educational level have any impact with respect to maybe the two people who want to get married. Maybe the man has a terminal degree and the lady has not been to school, or the lady has a terminal degree and the guy just completed SHS. I mean, does it really have a significant impact as far as the sustainability of the marriage is concerned?
Okay. Thank you.
I have a second question.
Bring it up, please. Yeah.
But I'm trying to put it well, so I will just give some time whilst you are answering the first one so that I can put the second. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So educational difference in a couple, does it matter? Does it really have an impact? Yes and no. Yes, because if there's a huge gap in your intellectual capacities, communication can be impaired, it can be damaged, it can be disturbed, you know, it can be disturbed. So it would be great if you're within a certain range so that you can communicate. Otherwise, things get disturbed. And sometimes even your outlook on life, your engagement with the world, you know, can be very challenging, you know, if the gap is very, very wide, you know. So that's an issue to think about. But no, in the sense that if you love yourselves, what is education? All you need is you help the other person to speed up. So you find that for guys, they'll get, I've known people who put their wives through courses and from nowhere to do degrees, you know, to degrees, and the wife is now very confident, can do things for herself and all that other stuff. I've known ladies who have frustrated their husbands. Found money for him to do some courses and all this, because sometimes it's not the guy's fault. There's some guys who are very, very intelligent, very gifted, but they grew up in a home where there was no money. So they left school or dropped out after some level, went to help with a shop or somewhere and did something, and then found themselves abroad or something like that. And they can manage themselves, but they have not come to the level that the lady has had going through formal education. So if you find that they are such good people and you want to marry, then you do some support for him. Let him find some short courses, let him find something so that he builds his confidence, so that he doesn't feel like when he's among the ladies' colleagues, he's really a nobody. No, he's a somebody, very big man, that kind of stuff. And so it's a yes and a no, but you must make a decision so that you don't struggle in the marriage, especially when you keep referencing it, that you haven't been to, you don't have a doctorate, you don't have this. People don't marry with doctorates. I have a PhD, I have 2 masters. My wife has double masters. We don't sit in the house talking about master's degrees. We talk as man and wife, we talk as friends. We have a lot to talk about, even about church more than anything else, in there. So that's not the issue, but if you also don't consider it, then you realize there's a confidence problem. The slightest thing, it may not even got to do with education. For another one is feeling, hey, because I'm this, you don't respect me. Because I'm this, you don't. And then it can interfere with the relationship a lot. So if the gap is too wide, there's a problem. But you can also do something about it if you really love yourselves. Do something about it. Let each other's confidence come up to a certain level. And then you can manage it as you want. It's classical.
Okay, so second question.
Okay, let's come.
About is there, like, when it comes to age difference, like I want to find out, like, to what extent, what age difference can you decide that no, this is not good? And besides that, I think the last question is about is it Church of Pentecost, are you allowed to marry a divorcee?
Okay, that's fine. So age is similar to the education thing. Yeah. Most counselors I've heard say that normally if it's beyond 10 years age gap, it becomes a bit ridiculous. And the reason why it's ridiculous is because of the generations change. Normally within 10 years, some new things are happening. So when people belong to very huge age gaps, their perspectives are different from the other person. So whilst one is talking about, I'm trying to use some common example, Joe Biden, and some modern American issue. The other person is talking about Ronald Reagan or something like that. And you could see that's all they know is some historic something, so age, whether the man is older or the woman is older, whichever way, most counselors say don't go beyond 10 years. It helps to look at it in that direction. What was the other one?
The last one is about,
can you marry divorcee? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you marry divorcee? Every case must be looked at in its own right. I'll suggest that if you are getting into a relationship with somebody who's a divorcee, seek counseling first before you commit. If you're going to marry a divorcee or even somebody who is a widow, if the relationship is coming up like that, it is possible, it's doable. Yeah, but seek counseling first, because sometimes the issues you need to be aware of may repeat. Some issues may repeat themselves. There are people who have married and remarried, and actually, when you follow the story, the 2 failed marriages, the issues were the same. It means that either they were not addressed fully, and sometimes one leaves a relationship, they want to prove to the other person, I'm married, so I've moved on, I've got some nice man. Then the thing shows up again. So anytime somebody's popping up as a divorcee, a widow, or something, remarried person, please try and get some counseling, get some independent advice on it before you really commit, so that you can overcome. And then you yourself, if you are in that state of being a divorcee or a widow and want to marry again, seek counsel, seek help, seek help, so that you don't bring some issues into the current relationship. so that the new person is innocent. They don't need to carry all the issues you've had before, so seek help and make sure you're properly healed and ready to enter into a new relationship. Okay. Some of the questions on the screen on the chat room can I help? How do spouses deal with the distance if due to work or other circumstances they briefly cannot stay together? If you can't stay together due to work relationship, you have to agree on something. And if you're a couple, you have to agree on something. You're going to be married for about 70 years or so. And it's not always you will be together. That's the reality. It's not always. Sometimes for one reason or the one will move, the other one will join later, temporarily one will be apart and all that. So these things will happen in your journey. But when it happens, agree on the arrangements you have and then make sure that both of you stick to it. If you feel the agreement you've made, you are struggling. You've taken up a job in New York, your husband is in Czech Republic, and you see yourself once every 6 months, and you think it's not helping yourself or your spouse, please go back to the drawing board. Don't insist. It's not enough making the pounds or the dollars when your marriage is failing. So sometimes you agreed on it, but within 2 months, 3 months, it's really not working. Find a way to solve the problem and discuss it again, or increase the frequency of your contact and find a way around it. Can I help my children's mom or dad financially without letting my partner know at that point in time? I don't think so. We're talking about transparency. So if you're married and you've had children before, and you have an arrangement to support the children, make sure your current spouse is aware of the arrangement and the commitment you have. And whenever you have to make contact with the children, make sure your spouse is aware. If she can go with you, that'll be fine. But don't get into situations where she begins to feel jealous that you're actually indirectly spending more time with your former wife or former spouse, in the name of going to visit the children. So that's a trust issue. If you abuse it, it would affect your relationship terribly. Please, must you always give up a relationship just because your parents don't like the person or don't agree on grounds of tribe, ethnicity, etc.? Because there are instances where parents got it wrong and later come back and accepted that their child decisions was right. That's true. That's true. So that's why I've given the options. That don't think that you can cross the family stage just like that. There are times they can raise issues. So plan for it, pray for it. And some of the options we've shared is that, look, sometimes go back and explain yourself a bit more or give them time to come around the issue. I guess I want to talk to them, yeah. And all that. I'm saying in some cases, based on the strong evidence they're bringing, the kind of things they're saying, you may have to consider, literally giving up the relationship. The other extreme option is to ignore them and go ahead. And I'm saying that's not good. It's not good. But parents have a stake. When you yourself become a parent, you see it. You have a stake in children's marriage, and you should be careful you don't overstretch it. Most of the time, provide wisdom and guidance, caution, and all that other stuff. But leave your child to make a good judgment on the issue. If they even go and they fail, don't come back and say, I told you so. Be magnanimous with them, open up your heart and show them some love. Okay. Apostle, yeah. Anybody, I wanted to get a feedback from you. What have you learned so that I can finish my bits? We've done enough questions. 2 people, please.
Yeah, feedback. What have you learned? What are you taking home? What are you going to do differently?
That's right.
Yeah. Just give us the feedback so that we know that this thing has really stuck.
Yeah.
So my people of God, just speak it out.
Okay, Papa, so this is Jabo here. I'm here with my wife. And one thing that we have learned is that in as much as the two of us are doing our best to keep the marriage working, there might be external influences, as Papa rightly said. Some can be from friends, it can be from family, it can be from even the church. And so we have to look at it very well and manage it. So thank you very much for that one. I think it's a good one that you have learned.
Fantastic.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Papa, God bless you. This is Prince from Bruno.
Okay.
We've learned a lot as well. What I would like to say is that we want more of this. I think it's something that when we continually have it often, it will definitely help us. And we are really grateful to have you, Apostle, to share this with us.
Thank you. And for everybody who's heard this word, you need to produce results. To whom much is given, much is required. So the testimony I will have is that all the young guys in Czech Republic who attended the marriage seminar that I was there, by the grace of God, they're all married. Their marriages are working successfully. When you see them, you know, they give you a high five. Apostle, remember, oh, we came to Czech Republic some time ago. Then you know that it's working. Because listen, you don't need to hear them five times. The one you hear, if you work with it, super. You know, so please, let's bear fruits of what we have learned today. Okay. Emma, please.
Please, I've also learned that when you are going into a relationship or planning to settle down, get married, you go with your heart and your head. Both of them have to go together. One doesn't go and leave the other. That's what I've learned personally. And I've also learned that we need to learn to have a conversation in marriage. If anything goes wrong or there is something that is an issue, you don't let it go. You make time to talk about it and settle it. And finally, I've also learned that we are Christians. So as much as we can, as we have been taught by Apostle and the Word of God, no sex before marriage. If not, after 6 months of marriage, if something comes up, you can be probed by the church. Amen.
Amen. You'll be held liable for your actions. Okay. Thank you, Emma. Elisha, you want to say something, please?
Yes, Papa, just to add finally, I learned about the points that you made about the fact that when you were using 1 Corinthians 7, where Paul was actually talking about the fact that once you decide to commit into marriage, it comes with its own challenges. And so in our state of singleness, for me now that I'm single, in this state, we need to establish a brand, and we need to work hard. We need to make ourselves known, work and make ourselves visible in whichever area that we are serving actually in the church. And what you said that really struck me was that if you see someone who is an apostle, he didn't just start right at this stage, but it is something that the person built over the years. And his colleagues know that this person is actually going to be an apostle. And so for me, it's very remarkable. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Okay, Elisha. Thank you very much. God bless you. Bless you. Okay. How I wish your videos were on, we could see all of you, but yeah, please speak up. Yeah.
Please, I also learned that if we honor God in our dating, God will also show up on the wedding day to glorify himself and the wedding. God bless you.
That's powerful. Thank you. Very powerful.
I have also learned that there's more work after marriage, even before the marriage. And we must continue to work harder if we want to achieve the 70+ years as married couples. Amen.
Fantastic. So when we're talking about using the single period well, is because when you get into marriage and you're doing all this hard work, if whilst you're single, you're not honest, you're not hardworking, you're not faithful, that kind of stuff, nobody should trust you to do more in a married life. Because all the time they knew you that they were not really honest. So what should we expect? But if you cut your brand, and it doesn't mean you don't have weaknesses, you don't have failures, but people give you space. They know that there's a genuine mistake you've made. They know you're a very committed person, that you've had this issue. They can bear with you. But if all along they think you're not really credible, they won't give you any chance at all. So your single life is very, very powerful. Apostle, I think I can hand over at this stage. My job is done. Thank you.
what are we saying to our dear Dr. Apostle?
God bless you, Papa. God bless you.
God bless